your wealth will grow consistently over time. Okay, guys. So there we go. All right. So let's see. Cheryl says, could you please explain Bitcoins and how you feel about them? I like Bitcoin a lot. I think that Bitcoin is that's a great wave of the future. I think that cryptocurrency, particularly blockchain technology, is really, really effective. And I read up on the blockchain. I read entire books about crypto when I was trying to learn about it, and I was really impressed with blockchain. Now, Bitcoin comes with risk. All these cryptocurrencies, you don't know which crypto is going to survive, which ones are going to die. It's kind of a trippy thing because it almost seems like they're just creating money out of thin air, but it's deeper than that. But the thing about it though is that pretty much almost all money is created out of thin air. It sounds crazy to say that, but that's true. So I'm not going to sit here and say you should definitely invest in crypto or that crypto is going to save your life. I'm just saying that I invest consistently in crypto because I want to be there if, in the event that crypto does take off, because there are people that are actually talking about Bitcoin as if Bitcoin could literally go from where it is now, which is about 19,000, to as high as 500,000. I've literally heard people say 500,000. Now that's kind of crazy, but I've seen crazier things. You guys may not know this, but back when the Dow used to be, when the Dow crossed 1,000, there were people who said, this is insane. This is way too high. The Dow can never go higher than 1,000. You better sell everything, get out of the stock market because it's all going to crash and burn. They said that at 1,000. They said it at 5,000. They said it at 10,000. They said it at 20,000. Now they're saying it at 30,000. So if you hit Dow, you hit 100,000, they're going to say it, right? So I personally stopped believing in the idea of betting against the trend. And I think that the long-term trend for the last 50, 100 years has been generally upward. It may not always be that way, but that's what it is right now. Give me 1 second here. All right. So next question. Let me see here. Let me dig in here and okay. Elaine says, are Bitcoins overtaking the dollar? No. Is XRP a Bitcoin? No, it's not a Bitcoin. It's just a different type of cryptocurrency. You can buy a lot of cryptos on Coinbase. Coinbase is a very popular app. At least I like to use it because it's simple and very straightforward. It used to be hard to buy crypto, but one of the things that let me know that we're on to something is when crypto started becoming very easy to acquire and easy to buy. When that happened, that made me think, okay, mainstream acceptance could be right around the corner. And when that happens, I think that's when you're going to start seeing things really take off. And the thing is, you're already seeing it now, though. A lot of like I think Robinhood, Stash, Acorn, all those places allow you to buy crypto. Even a Cash App, you can even buy crypto on Cash App. So that to me is a big indicator. Also, when a lot of mainstream money managers started investing in crypto, because again, they have the same mindset that I'm sharing with you guys today, that they just want to be there if it happens. They don't want to miss out. That was a big deal. And then the last piece is I heard the PayPal CEO basically say that they were going to start allowing people to do transactions in Bitcoin, and they were going to do it in a way that minimized the risk to the merchant. And why is that important? Well, because before, the big barrier for merchants accepting Bitcoin was the price fluctuations. Bitcoin would go up and down, up and down, up and down. And there were merchants who were like, I can't handle that kind of volatility because I don't know if I sell a pizza, I don't know if I'm selling the pizza for $8 or $8.50 or $7.50 or $6, because the price of Bitcoin will move so much. Well, PayPal is absorbing that risk. They're taking the very important role of being what you might call a market maker. The market maker, AKA the middleman, is in a position where they can make a profit, actually, if the price fluctuations work in their direction, but they also take the risk on taking on a huge loss. And what that does is that shields the merchant from dealing with those price fluctuations, which if it catches on could become a big deal in terms of the demand for Bitcoin. And pretty much for any financial asset or any asset in general, demand determines price. Like you think about a rapper, Megan Thee Stallion, I'm thinking about her because I saw an interview where Jay Prince was talking about Megan's contract and everything else. And Megan is very unhappy with her contract, which makes me wonder, like, well, why don't you read contracts? That's why economic intelligence and financial literacy is so important to teach to your kids, because her contract, she could have read it, but she chose not to read it because she wanted to be famous. And it's a story that happens all the time. It's happened since entertainment ever began. But here's the point. So with the Megan Thee Stallion contract and the thing with Jay Prince, one of the things that I thought about was how things change. Megan Thee Stallion is interesting, and this, I promise you, this is going to link back to the Bitcoin thing. She is and also an example of what I call the moral hazard problem. The moral hazard problem in finance is basically something that mathematically they literally have mathematical research papers that break this down, where they talk about how people change when situations change. People's incentives change when things change, right? So the way I treat you when I need you is going to be very different from the way I treat you when I don't need you. Everybody knows this, right? Like you think about relationships, maybe she's really nice to you and cooks for you and cleans for you. And then when you get married, she decides she lets herself go. She doesn't feel like she has to cook for you anymore. Or maybe vice versa, right? The guy's really nice to you when he's trying to get some and whatever. But then once he gets some, he ain't picking up his phone no more. He's not the same guy, right? Everybody's seeing moral hazard in real life. So with Megan Thee Stallion, it made me wonder if there's a moral hazard issue going on here, where maybe before, when Megan was a nobody and nobody knew who she was, and she's just a talented rapper who's rapping on the corner for spare change, the way she negotiated then was probably very different from the way she negotiates now, right? So the contracts she would have accepted then are very different from the contracts that she'll accept now. So basically, the record label comes along and Megan's like, I'm really hungry. I want to be well known. I want to be famous. I'll sign anything, right? So they put the contract in front of her, and you could really say something like, make sure you read it. Make sure you read every detail. You do understand that, we own a piece of you forever, right? And, for all perpetuity throughout the universe. You did read that, right? Yeah. Okay, I just want to sign. I just want to get signed so I can tell my friends I got signed, right? So because you're a nobody knows who you are. You're just Megan. You're not even Megan Thee Stallion yet, right? So you go out there, they put you out there, they put millions of dollars into promoting you. Next thing you know, you're super famous. Everybody knows who you are. You're all over TikTok and everything else, doing songs with Cardi B. Well, then suddenly you go back and you look at that contract you signed and you say, oh, you're exploiting me. That's wrong. Like this contract is so unfair. I mean, who would sign something this terrible? This is ridiculous. What terrible person would sign something so stupid, right? Well, when really, I mean, you were that person, right? You signed that contract, but now, maybe because you're famous and everyone wants you, everyone knows you. Now you can kind of rewrite history and rewrite it as, no, I wasn't the desperate rapper who was dying to sign a contract. I was this young person who was manipulated and exploited and whatever, right? That's how the game kind of works. But that's a moral hazard issue. And it's been in existence since forever. So that's one thing. That was just a side thought on the Megan Thee Stallion discussion. But the other thing too is also her value as an artist has skyrocketed, largely because there's demand for her now. Now that people know who she is, they think she's very talented. They demand her. She comes to a city, people demand those tickets. Next thing you know, getting Megan to come perform at your venue costs, $100,000 or whatever, because the demand is higher. It's not because necessarily she's all that much better of a rapper or whatever. Maybe she's gotten better over time, but it's not the talent that drives it. It's the demand. It's the demand. It's the demand. So with crypto, what I pay attention to is the demand for crypto. That's it. terrible. Can you guys hear me now? I know you lost me for a second. Let me know if you can hear me. Am I there? Just say something in the chat. Give me a yes if I'm there. Let me know. Okay, I want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay. Okay. Sorry about that. If that happens again, just don't go anywhere. Just stay right there. I'll be right back. My Wi-Fi is terrible. I'm blaming on Xfinity right now. I'm trying to get on the phone with them. I can't get anybody on the phone. All right. So next, what are the best businesses to start with the least amount of startup cash? I think service-based businesses work really well. Black people have a lot of what is called human capital, meaning that we have a lot of skill. That's why people hire us for jobs, because we have lots of degrees and skill and training and everything else. Because we're very ambitious people in that way. We're very hard workers. So service-based businesses are great because that allows your capital infusion to be non-financial. You can invest with your labor and with your skill set. Maybe you can invest with your relationships, right? Also, you have to start where you are, so if you do need money to start a business, I'm not a big believer in trying to go change the whole world when you're operating on a shoestring budget. Maybe your first goal is to just get something moving, and then you can change the world later. Even in my business, like now I can say, I can legitimately say, the stuff that we're doing here with the Black Business School and everything else, all the other things I'm involved with, we are changing the world. We're helping to participate in some high-level discussions about Black wealth that I think are really impactful. But it wasn't always like that. I mean, there was a time where I was just trying to get enough money to quit my job, and so in fact, that's what the whole Black Wealth Bootcamp's all about, is basically saying, how do you at least get to the point where you're free enough where you can go free other people? So I would say that service-based businesses, I think franchises are really great, but franchises do require some capital investment. I think also joining investment clubs is a good thing. Is good, because then you have a group of people that you can work with and talk to, some of whom may have resources they can actually invest, and then some may have time and labor or skill or connections, right? So you're really pulling together, almost like a potluck dinner, right? You're pulling, somebody brings the peas, somebody else brings the chicken, somebody else brings the mashed potatoes. Next thing you know, you got a good meal, whereas mashed potatoes by themselves doesn't really constitute a meal. Now, somebody's asking about tax lien businesses. We're actually looking to bring tax lien experts into the Black Business School. We do have a great expert on basically rental property, stuff like that. Julian Gordon, he's really, really good at that. And he's our Dean of Real Estate. But if you are, or if you know somebody who's really good with tax liens and stuff like that, feel free to send us an email. You can email support@theblackbusinessschool.com. Have them send over their resume. We'd love to work with a tax lien expert and do some more in that area. That's support@theblackbusinessschool.com. You can also reach out for any questions you have or any issues you have. We're always there for you. Let's see here. Next question is, Sharisa says, Dr. Boyce, who and what type of professional would you suggest I consult with for financial advice? I'm pretty diligent with my finances, but would like another perspective. I think that a financial planner could be good. I think, that even if you know a lot about what's going on, like even myself, I have financial planners and advisors, even though I'm a financial expert. Well, why is that? Well, because my accountant is an expert on accounting. I'm not an expert on accounting. So that person that's there to be detail oriented and make sure that every nickel is accounted for properly is extremely important, because I don't have time to do that. And I don't have the skill. I can't do what accountants do. But then I also have a financial advisor. Of course, I'm a more active participant in my financial planning, but he might remember specific rules about 401ks and IRAs or whatever that I don't remember. And also, again, he's watching it much more closely than I might be. Right. So do you think XRP is going to be like the next Bitcoin? I like XRP a lot. It's my favorite crypto. Will it be another Bitcoin? No, but the crypto market's done really well lately. So it's a really interesting perspective. Let's see here. Jessica says, I haven't purchased anything in the stock market because I have no idea where I should start. In your opinion, which app should I download for the stock market? There are a lot of apps out there. I think The simplest would be Acorns or Cash App. Cash App, you can buy stocks on Cash App and do automatic deposits on Cash App. You can also download Robinhood and Stash. Those are pretty good. Those will pretty much do almost everything you need to do. That's where you can buy all your stocks, your crypto, whatever. So I would look there. Also, don't forget, we also have the Black Stock Market Program if you want to learn more in terms of what's really going on, how it works, why your stocks went up and down today, what to look out for, how to plan your long-term portfolio. So the URL for the Black Stock Market Program is theblackstockmarketprogram.com, THE, that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. So feel free to go take a look if you're not in the Black Stock Market Program yet. Some of you are, some of you are not. But one of the cool things about the program too is there's a section where even if you don't know what to buy and you just want to see what I'm buying and what I'm doing and why, feel free to, there's a section called Ask Dr. Boyce, what Dr. Boyce is buying, And basically that's where I just tell you about stuff that I saw that I'm thinking about buying and why I would want to buy that and what I'm using for. And of course the options class is really good too, because stock options allow you to kind of put icing on the cake. And so basically, with stock options, there are a lot of innovative ways to earn income from your stock portfolio without having to sell. The biggest question, the reason I put that program together was because the biggest question I was getting from people was, when should I sell? When should I take my profits? Stuff like that. And at first I started with a more purist ideology that kind of said, look, you want to own this forever. Like, why would you sell your assets? But then, you have the reality that sometimes you need cash. Sometimes you want to enjoy the fruits of your investment, right? And I totally get that. So, so that led me to really explore creative ways that you can generate income from your portfolio without digging up all the seeds that you've planted. You see, because your assets those are your seeds. So those are the things that are supposed to grow into something bigger and better. And sometimes it's easy to get caught up in the hype where maybe I bought a stock for 100, I watched it go to 120, 150, 200, 250, right? So now I'm feeling good. Now I'm feeling like, oh my God, I put $100 in this stock. It's now worth 250 bucks. That's amazing, by the way, right? Think about it. Imagine if you bought a house for 100,000 and a year later, it was worth 250,000. That's an insane investment. That's happened in the stock market. If you has quadrupled probably in many cases. So, so that's exciting. And it's easy to kind of feel like you're on a high wire act, like, oh my God, it can't go any higher. When really it could be just the beginning. Like Amazon, there was a time where Amazon stock, you could have bought it for $10, $15, $20, right? Excuse me, then it went to 70, 80, and people said, oh my God, look at the stock, it's going so high, how do it's way too high. And then maybe people bought it at 80 and then it goes to 250, right? Then you're like, okay, it can't do any more than this. There's no way, right? And you go through that process because you're always comparing. Again, investor psychology is kind of something I'm very fascinated with. That's what I wrote my dissertation on. So what happens is that psychologically, you get so caught up in where you were that's the only basis of comparison to where you are. You're not looking at where you are and comparing it to where you could be. You're looking at where you are and comparing it to where you were. So you end up thinking that, okay, Amazon's at 250, I bought it at 80, it doesn't get any better than this. But what you don't understand is that now Amazon's trading at $3,500 or something like that. So a person that consistently invested in a stock like Amazon, going back 20 years, could easily be a millionaire. A person making $40,000, $50,000 a year who just became obsessed with investing and invested heavily in Amazon could literally have enough money where they will never have to work again. And if you want to know what a big financial goal is when it comes to wealth and what wealth looks like, one of the biggest things I would encourage you to think about is that, big wealth pretty much means that you don't have to work anymore. That's it. If you get to the point where you don't have to work anymore, then that means you kind of achieved that pinnacle. Right? It doesn't mean that you quit your job and you're making a lot of money, but you're working, 80 hours a week trying to run a business. That's nice. That's better. But really, you now own your job. Also, the next level is when maybe you are free from your job, but you have people working for you. So that's great too, because now you scale. Now you're getting, you're able to work 100 or 1,000 hours a week, right? Because you've got people working for you. That's another level, but that's not complete economic freedom and independence. The next level is when you get to the point where you get up in the morning, you roll over, you look at your app, you buy and sell a couple of stocks, or you sell some stock options to generate $40,000 in income for the month so you can pay your bills, and then you roll over and go back to sleep, and then you decide what you're going to do with your kids that day. That is pretty much what I would define as economic freedom. And I've seen that happen. And that's the perspective that I teach from. So it takes time to get there, but I know what that feels like. Right? So I can kind of describe that to you in terms of what the steps would be in order for you to get there. And that'll be the focus of the Black Wealth Bootcamp, by the way. And the URL is blackwealthbootcamp.com if you guys want to join us for the January 7th cohort. The early bird discount is still in effect. The Black Friday discount's done, but the early bird is 30% off. So if you want to join us, feel free to go to blackwealthbootcamp.com. All right, so next question. The options program is accessible through the blackstockmarketprogram.com. Actually, it's the blackstockmarketprogram.com. I see you with the Black Stock Program. It's the blackstockmarketprogram.com. And that is not, there is a conversation about options, but there is a separate options class because options are kind of a big thing. So we have two things actually. If you go to the blackbusinessschool.com and speak to one of the specialists, they can guide you. We have a monthly options program at blackoptionsinvesting.com. We also have a 6-week masterclass that I did on options. So it was very popular, and we recorded the options masterclass. So you can really take a look at that. And actually, I'm putting together a methodology on exactly how I go about picking stock options to add to my portfolio, how I actually pick the ones I want to sell. I'm really big on selling options because I like the fact that it generates income, and it also helps you calibrate your risk so you can protect yourself against the downside and also generate income from the portfolio without actually having to sell anything. And so just to give you an example, I talked to a guy, he did a one-on-one consultation. And so I was speaking to this brother about, he said he got $50,000 in stock and he wanted to, or $50,000 in cash or something. He wanted to turn that into at least $500 a month in monthly income. And I showed him, I broke the methodology down to him and I said, look, this is what I do. We actually, with my portfolio, and literally when we did the math, he was going to have like $1,800 a month in income coming from that 50,000. So I'll let you guys know when it comes out. I see El Haj is asking about it. The reason I haven't put it out yet is because I want to make it perfect. I want to make it exact. I want to test it out. I'm literally like, it's like developing the vaccine, except it won't be like I'm not going to rush it like they're rushing the vaccine for COVID. I'm literally testing this out. And I told Alicia, 7 months ago, 8 months ago, when I first started working on it, I said, this is actually game changing. I mean, it was game changing for us. And I said, this is going to be game changing when I break this down for the students in the Black Business School. But I said, I want to make sure I'm not missing anything, that there's not, because that's the other thing about risk. The way risk kind of works in investing is you have what they call jump risk. And jump risk is where the risk was there, but you were just not aware of it because you didn't see it. So an example of jump risk would be like somebody who, imagine if you got a cousin who is an accountant, and the cousin who's an accountant is making $50,000 a year, and they're living this nice, normal, boring accountant's life, but they're making a consistent $50K a year. So let's say you got another cousin who says, going to work every day is for suckers, and who would want to be an accountant and only make 50 grand a year? I make $250,000 a year, and all I have to do is carry a paper bag from Billy's house down to Cindy's house every Tuesday. That's all I got to do is carry this paper bag, and then every now and then they put something in my trunk, and I drive it across town, and that's it. And I get $250,000 a year. Well, what would you say to that cousin, right? What would you say to that person who is saying, look at how much money I'm making. I'm not even working. I'm just driving these paper bags across town, and I'm making all this money. Well, you would probably say to the cousin, like, be careful, right? Because you're probably transporting, you're going to get popped by the feds. Like, they're going to get a RICO charge on you. You're going to go to prison for 1,000 years. That's why they're paying you so much money to carry a paper bag across town, right? And so what happens is that maybe a person does that job for a really long time, and maybe it works out for a long time. Like, nothing bad happens. He's like, oh, everything's fine. I've been doing this job for 2 years, and everything's okay. Look at how much money I have. Look at how great I'm doing. And let's say he never gets out of the game. Well, you know what happens when people get in the bad game, in the risky game. Eventually, it catches up with you, right? There's that one day where somebody blows his brains out, or he gets raided by the feds, and he's going to prison for 150 years or whatever. That's an example of jump risk. Jump risk is like risk that sits in the shadows that you're not aware of, and you think that you're getting easy money. You think that it's just an easy process and everything's great, but you always have to look over your shoulder. You know, when you talk about risk and investing, that's why I'm always very quick as I congratulate you on how much money you guys made. I'm always reminding you that there's probably some risk lurking in the shadows. There's what you know, there's what you don't know, and then there's what you don't know you don't know. And that third category of risk is the scariest. Those are the financial ghosts that are out here that can come in and scoop up and take everything. So you always have to look over your shoulder. So that's why it's taken me so long to put the program together, because I'm like, okay, I want to work this thing out and watch real money go into my account, which is doing it. It's fascinating, the ROI. But I want to see what happens, with this strategy in a bear market. I want to see what happens with different asset classes. I want to look out for every single thing so that when we develop it, we can develop it in a way where you secure what you have, but then you're able to expand and grow, right? So I'll let you guys know when it comes out, and it's going to be really fun to teach it. I can't wait to talk to you guys about it. All right, so Kevin, because of my interest is in starting a business based on operations, research, and manager science, what is the market demand among prospective business owners for analytical services to forecast the market demand for their particular business offerings? I think it's a matter of figuring out what people need and offering them what they need and offering it in a way that's compelling. You can have the best service in the world, but if you pitch it wrong, it's not going to work. That's it. If you offer the service in a way that that bores people or doesn't help them understand your value proposition, then you're not going to get, your customer base, right? So what you really want to think about with any type of business, at the very least, is, who needs this and how do I convince them that they need it? Sometimes people need something and they don't even know that they need it. It's like, you think about it, just to use a real life example. Imagine if you meet a pretty girl and you know that you could rock her world and be the best thing in the world for her, but she doesn't know it, right? She doesn't think that you are interesting. Maybe she thinks you're boring because you're a nerd or whatever, right? So you have to find a way to convince her that you are what she's been waiting for, looking for her whole life, right? So the question is, how do you convince that customer that what you're offering is really going to be great for them, right? And that's why, so for example, on Mondays on financialjuneteenth.tv.com, we do the business pitch competition. We have Black businesses pitch their businesses on 90-second videos, and then we critique the pitch right there live. And the reason I did the pitch competition, the reason we thought that up is because everywhere I go, when I go all around the country, I'm always get because it says that what we're doing is really changing how people think and they're making real changes in their lives. I'm a big believer in solutions and substance. I don't care about flash. I don't care about people, a lot of talking. I want to see something change. I want to see our community get better. I want to see us making different choices and raising our kids different. I want to change the culture. So when I see that, I observe that very carefully. And one thing I noticed is a lot of the businesses that get pitched to me are just not quite ready for prime time. Maybe because the business owner hasn't spent time practicing how to pitch the business. By the way, to another connection and get a better. This is terrible. Sheesh. I don't know. I got to call the internet company. Can you guys hear me and see me? Give me a yes or no if you can hear me and see me, okay? Because I'm just, this is insane. I hate this stuff. It's driving me crazy. Am I coming through okay? Okay, thank you. All right. So with that said, it's a lot of it comes down to the pitch. So think about your value proposition, learn what your customer needs, practice your pitch. Practice, and then remember on the landing page, that's a pitch too. And if you want to, talk about real life examples, I'm always pitching things to you guys, and sometimes you're like, oh, that's really interesting. Sometimes you're like, that's not for me, right? So when you talk about pitching, you have to be able to explain how someone else is going to benefit and how you can serve an important need that they have. So one thing that we do is we do a lot of surveys, and we're always asking you guys, well, how can we help you? What can we do for you? And that's literally what I believe to be the most important part of any sort of process. The best way to make a sale is when you don't actually have to sell anything. The worst sale or sell to me has a weird connotation, almost like an awkwardness to it. But if I offer you value and I offer to support you and I solve a problem for you, which I'm very good at because I'm a mathematician, so mathematicians solve problems, then you'll be happy to have me solve your problem, right? So that's what it is. Okay, so let's see. Marvin says the video is horrible, but the voice is good. Yeah, Marvin, I'm so sorry, man. I wish I could make this better. Keep telling me if you can hear me or not. I don't know what's going on with the Wi-Fi here. This is so bad. I got to call the internet company. This is terrible. What is the site for pitching your business? Yeah, it's financialjuneteenth.tv.com. So let me put this in here. We do this every Monday, so it's called Life's a Pitch. That's what we named it. All right, so Michael asks, I recently purchased fractional shares of Bitcoin on the Robinhood app. I noticed that they don't offer XRP crypto. What platform do you use to purchase your crypto? And do you transfer it to a virtual wallet once purchased? No, you know what I use? I use Coinbase most of the time. I have a Bittrex account, but it's kind of a pain, and I'm a little bit nervous about companies that are based outside the U.S. Now when you said what's going on with crypto, I don't know. I haven't checked it. This morning looked pretty good, but maybe it dropped a little bit. So I can go check again. But crypto's been doing really well this year, and a lot of it's due to the mainstream acceptance of crypto. Let's see. Morning, Dr. Watkins. I've joined your class and watched the Black Money 102 and mini stock market class in your weekend stock market class. I've enjoyed all 3 classes. I'm currently going back through all the lectures again. Also, I bought 5 stocks. What are your thoughts on Motley Fool? Would you consider that a smart investment? Secondly, would you recommend me buying more shares or getting more different stock? Thank you for your time. Well, first of all, I'm very happy that you enjoyed everything. If you ever sign up for anything and you're not 100% happy, email support@theblackbusinessschool.com and we will either make you happy or give you a refund. I kid you not. Like, I do not want you to invest in anything in the school unless you're 100% happy. And if you feel, I want you to feel like what you learned here is better than anything you learned in college or anywhere else. And if you don't feel that way, then let us know, because we want to make it better. And also those of you who do invest in the school, I appreciate that, because Black people should own universities. A big source, trillions of dollars in Black wealth is lost regularly because we will literally go to a university that has racist faculty members who don't even want us there and give them all of our family wealth. Well, that right there is a huge wealth drain on Black people. Like, that's where a lot of your wealth is going. So we should have schools and universities everywhere. So there are lots of Black people teaching online. Eventually, you'll see the development of formal institutions that will compete with the institutions that are out there. The old model of college is actually dying anyway. It's way too expensive. It's not giving people the skills that they actually need. Black people are not getting what they need in order to actually build wealth. Most Black college graduates have a very low or negative net worth. Like, most Black college graduates can't even pay their student loans. So it ends up going backward for them. So whereas we actually look and solve that problem, and we actually sort of show you what the issues are so you can go forward instead of backward. And a big part of the reason is that the focus for the community must be on ownership and control of resources. It must be on asset acquisition. That's why we bring in people like Dr. Claude Anderson as faculty members, because the Powernomics philosophy is one that leads you to focus on what matters, which is power, not acceptance, not getting a job or whatever, because capitalism is a dirty bastard to some extent. Capitalism is a really dirty game in that, there's room in capitalism for everybody. There's always room for everybody. But the problem is that the room that they make for you is at the bottom of the barrel. And if you go back 1,000 years to European feudal systems, they've always had systems where 90% of the population works themselves into a grave to take care of the top 10%. That was true, in ancient England, in 1202, right? And it's still true right now in the United States. So for Black people, that when they integrated you and brought you in, it was basically sort of this mass acquisition of new employees. They said, look, we want to expand our wealth, so we'll bring you in so that you can come in as workers and as customers. You'll buy the products we sell. You'll also do the work that we need. You'll provide the labor and you'll provide the customer base. That's awesome, right? And the thing is that the question that you never ask is, well, what do I get out of the deal? what do we get to actually control as a community? But you know, when you're just super excited about being invited to the party and you don't think about why you're being invited to the party, that's when you get screwed at the party, right? So basically, the Black Business School is designed to kind of unravel that so that you can understand what's going on, so you can figure out what position you want to be in. So Black people must focus on ownership and control. We must become, as a community, an ownership class of all things economic. That means that your kids, if they're renting, it's temporary because eventually they want to own a building. If they are a consumer, that's fine, but they're also a producer. If they are an employee, they do that temporarily because eventually they're going to run a business or whatever the case may be. If you do that and you make that a cultural value, then you'll actually see your wealth start to go up and not go down. Anyway, to answer your question, should I buy more stock or buy different stock? I believe in the beginning you want to go broader as opposed to deeper. Broader means that you have to be adequately diversified. The number one rule of investing is spread your money out. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you put all your eggs in one basket, you're putting all your eggs at risk. So don't put your eggs at risk, spread them out. You want to own 10, 20, 30 stocks, whatever, right? Some big number. You don't want to own like 2 or 3, right? It doesn't matter how great a stock is. Do not put a ton of your money into 1 or 2 companies. That's just a general rule that's, you know, I follow, I'll say that. And also remember that past performance of a stock is not an indicator of future performance. Everybody thinks it is, but it's not. Okay, so the other thing too is, let's see, what are your thoughts on the Motley Fool? I like the Motley Fool. I think the Motley Fool is good. I subscribe to the Motley Fool, so I think it's good to get good information. Now it looks like you watched the lectures from Black Money 102, which is the Black Stock Market Program, which is actually great. I mean, there's so much curriculum there. There's no way you could go through even 1/3 of that and not walk away with more economic knowledge than everybody in your entire family. I guarantee it. So program.com, the blackstockmarketprogram.com. The first month is $1, so you can try it out. It's really, really good. We also have the mini class and also the weekend stock market program where we did the Black Stock Market. And that was really good also. And that was where I actually broke down what we call the Dr. Boyce method. And that's an 11-step process I put together on how I go about selecting stocks from my portfolio. 11 questions that you would ask yourself so you'll know what stock works for you. Because picking a stock is a lot like buying an outfit. You know, if a woman goes shopping or a man goes shopping, the outfit they pick is going to, you know, there's no one size fits all, right? It may come down to like your body shape. You know, how big are you? How small are you? Are you tall or are you short? What colors do you like? What's the temperature outside? You went to the church or you went to the club, right? All these factors come into play in terms of picking the right outfit. So when somebody says, well, is this an outfit I should wear? Well, they're gonna have to ask you a bunch of questions. Like, where are you about to go? And what kind of colors do you like? And they gotta ask you those questions. So with stock, it's the same way. So the Dr. Boyce method, and I think we actually have a URL, and I think it might literally be the drboycemethod.com. Let me see. Let me test it out. The drboycemethod.com. We're like the king of URLs. Let me see here. I'm gonna try it out. The drboycemethod.com. Yeah, go to the drboycemethod.com, and you can feel free to take a look at that. It's really good. It's really thorough. And again, there's a money back guarantee. So if you're not happy for any reason, just tell us and we'll give you money back. So let me see here. Lydia says, should you buy a car with cash or finance a vehicle with a low interest car loan? It kind of depends on what you need the cash for. So with cash, it's kind of one of those things where when I decide if I want a loan or not, I look at the interest rate on the loan and I compare it to what I would be using the cash for. It should be put to its best available use. So if I have, it's like, so with student loans, there was somebody who asked me, should I repay my student loans? My business is taking off. You know, I doubled my revenue last year. Should I use that money to pay off my student loans or should I invest in my business? And I said, look, think about it like this. On your business, you doubled in revenue. So you're making 100% ROI on your business. The student loan, what's your interest rate on the student loan? He said 4%. I said, so you're paying 4% interest on the loan, but you're making 100% interest, so to speak, on your business. Well, basically what so it wouldn't make sense to me to go and earn and get back the 4% that you're losing on the student loan. One of the best ways to deal, one of the best ways to cut costs is to go make more money. Yeah, that's it, literally. When you go make more money, a lot of problems get solved. I mean, literally, problems in terms of, not just economic problems, but personal problems, relationship problems, all that stuff. So then a lot of people don't talk about this. Like, they have more of a scarcity mindset. They want to talk to you about cutting costs, cut. But really, if you go out and learn how to make more money, then that kind of makes a lot of your problems go away. So what I told the person was, I said, honestly, I don't even see why you would need to go and pay off the student loans. Why? Maybe you leave the student loans there, unless you can get all the funding you need from a bank, which it seems to me like you can't get funding. So why don't you fund yourself by putting student loans to the side? You can go take care of those later. And right now, shovel that money into the business where you're earning this 100% ROI. And then when your business is balling and making insane amounts of money, then you can circle back around and get to the student loans later. I've seen that strategy played out, and I've seen it work. So that's my 2 cents. That's what I shared. It wasn't investment advice, but it was just a thought. So give me a second, guys. I'm still looking at the Wi-Fi. It's still acting crazy. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you're able to hear me. At least hear me. You may not be able to see me. And you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to shut off my video so that it doesn't strain the Wi-Fi so bad. I'm so sorry, guys. I don't know what the hell's going on with this. So let me shut off my video. All right. So I'm going to do this video list. I apologize if that seems rude, but I got to do something. Okay. So let's see. Simone says, how much of an emphasis should be placed on the real estate industry in order to fortify the Black economy, seeing that it's created more millions than any other industry in the world? I think real estate's really important, but a balanced economic diet consists of stocks and bonds and real estate and ownership of businesses. So we need all of that. We need the 3 things we need as Black people is we need massive participation in various forms of stock market investing, crypto, all that stuff, so that when white folks make money, we'll be making money too. They spent 400 years owning you. It's okay for you to own them too. Number 2, we need our children focused solely, primarily on real estate acquisition, so that if they ever come back and try to gentrify a Black neighborhood, then they're going to have to pay us big money to do that, because we'll own the assets and not just be renters in those neighborhoods. I think we should aim to be owners of everything that we see on some level. And then the third piece is entrepreneurship, starting businesses. We have to start more businesses, and we're doing that now, right? Entrepreneurship is very popular. The next step in this process is for us not just to own businesses, but it's to be able, you have to be able to scale, which means that we have to focus on the development in 3 areas, which is technology, systems, and delegation. Technology meaning that, that's why Elon Musk made $100 billion this year, is because he's really good with technology. And also he's got great systems in place, and he has a great team he can delegate to. He didn't do it all by himself. So when you have that Elon Musk in your family, a lot of you have brilliant kids in your household and everything else. I want your kids to learn how to scale themselves. I don't want them to just learn how to be really super smart, hardworking employees who are going to maybe make $100,000 a year on some fancy job. I want them to be the person who says, I'm going to develop a team. I'm going to have 50 engineers working for me around the clock, and we're going to develop systems and protocols and utilize technology to scale our business, so to the point where we're making $100,000 a day. Like, that's what I want your child to be thinking, and that's a type of thinking that has to be learned very early. So they want to think about making money in business, not as a solo sport, but as a team sport, like almost like building a football team. If you build a football team that's going to win a championship, you have a bunch of players that are all playing different positions, and you have systems that are run in order to score touchdowns and play defense. Let's see here. Dr. Boyce, you're talking about contracts. What are your thoughts on Dave Chappelle's episode with Viacom? I don't know what the deal was with Viacom. I don't know Dave Chappelle in that way. So I can't speak on it in too much detail. I just know that it was his leverage and his power that allowed him. Can you guys hear me? You can hear me? Give me a yes or no if you can hear me. Dave Chappelle, I believe, is just a guy who has a lot of power and a lot of leverage, and Netflix wanted to maintain that relationship, and that's what happened. Was it right legally? I don't know. I mean, if there's a contract and he signed it, then I believe that that's what you signed. But then again, though, the thing is that the rules are made by those who have power. That's it. Rules get changed all the time. That's why you get so frustrated about being Black in America, is they keep changing the rules on you. That's because their number one rule is because I said so. That's it. So that's why you got to focus on power. And you have books like Powernomics, which basically tell you that power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the opposition of others. Power is not the ability to pursue your agenda with the permission of others. Power is not the ability to pursue your agenda as long as others don't get in your way. Power is not when you get what you want as long as they hand it to you. You were never taught what power is. Power is the ability to pursue your agenda despite the fact that other people are always going to play defense and protect their own interests. Other people protect their own interests. Some Black people know how to do that, but as a child, Black people are not really taught how to do that. They were taught, nonsense fantasies, little fairy tales like integration, that inequality and stuff like that, which makes us believe falsely that other people are going to look out for our interests. So as a result, our interests are never paid attention to. Our interests never get to move forward because we're literally like a football team that shows up at the game really thinking that, that the other team's going to hand us the ball and give us touchdowns. Like we really think that, because I'm there, because I showed up, you're going to give me points and you're going to give me a chance to win because you want to be fair. Well, life ain't fair. I mean, that's just it. So Dave Chappelle took advantage of the fact that life ain't fair. I'm sure some lawyer could probably look at the contract and say, well, according to the document that Dave signed back in 2005, Netflix or whoever should be allowed to do whatever they want. But they didn't do that. They said, you know what, this is Dave Chappelle. We don't want to piss him off. So we're going to go ahead and give him what he wants. So that's what power looks like. And that was a power play on Dave Chappelle's part. I congratulate him on that because I'm a fan of Dave Chappelle. All right. So let's see here. Clarkson says, hi, Boyce. I'm finding it difficult to understand how to start buying stock. Here's a place where you can go start buying stock and get started. Well, first of all, you have the blackstockmarketprogram.com. I'm just going to put that URL in here. And the first month is $1, so you can try it out for $1 if you want to. Also, if you want to take a look at a free training I put together on how to buy your first share of stock, just go to firstshareofstock.com, literally firstshareofstock.com, totally free. It'll show you how to buy your first share. I'll have you going in 10 minutes. It doesn't take long. Let's see here. Hey, Dr. Boyce, what happens when you have stocks in company A and it gets bought over by company B? What actually happens to your stocks in such a scenario? Well, that can depend on the situation. Every situation is different, but they do let you in on what's going on. Like, so for example, I had a student that got a tender offer. A tender offer is where they reach out to all the shareholders and say, okay, your stock on the market is worth $80, but we'd like to make a tender offer. We'd like to offer to buy it from you for $100. And they try to see how many people they can get to actually take the tender offer. And the tender offer may be contingent upon whether or not, let's say 51% of the shareholders give up their shares for $100. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe they go to plan B. Sometimes it's hostile. Sometimes that tender offer is made without the permission of the company's management or the board of directors. But sometimes the board of directors actually will announce that they support the tender offer. And then if you don't submit to the tender offer, then there's something else that happens along the line. But usually when your company gets bought, that's a good thing for you. That means that you're going to get, a pretty good ROI on your investment. Because the reason one company buys another is because what's happened is the second company, the acquirer, sees what you have and they say, I could do more with what you've got than you could do. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to offer you what you're worth. I'm going to offer you more than what you're worth because that additional value is a reflection of how much value I can add through the synergies of bringing our companies together. So when Time Magazine bought Essence Magazine, the reason that it was a hard offer to refuse and it wasn't something that they could easily walk away from is because Time offered them an insane, ridiculous, almost unbelievable amount of money for that company. And it was an amount of money where, I halfway didn't blame them for selling the company. And the reason Time could offer that kind of money is because Time already had distribution. They had a broad network of other magazines in their portfolio that they said, okay, we can add Essence to our portfolio. And if we could actually extract this level of value out of the company that Essence couldn't get on their own. So, so I would say that when a company gets sold, it's not always a terrible thing. I think the question becomes to me, what are you going to do with that money at that point? So if you take that money that you receive from the sale and you invest it in something that's just as good, something that's even better, then that makes sense. But if you don't, then that's another conversation. All right, so let's see. Should we put $5 a month on our stocks to mature? Well, $5 a month is it's going to be some slow growth if you do $5 a month. I would maybe do what I call the fast food investing model. The fast food investing model is maybe you can give yourself, like, how you get on a job and they give you like a matching funds program, like the 401k matches, whatever you invest. Well, why don't you give yourself a matching funds program instead of waiting for that white man to incentivize you to invest in your future? Why don't you make that decision? Why don't you become the boss of your life instead of waiting on somebody else to do it? And so what you can do is give yourself a matching funds program. You could say, every time I go out to eat, or every time I go spend money on something that isn't going to give me any economic value, I'm going to match that amount with stock purchase. So if I go buy a pair of Nike sneakers for $82.14, I'm going to buy $83 worth of Nike stock, right? If I go to McDonald's and I spend $14.22, I'm going to buy me $15 worth of McDonald's stock, right? If you do that consistently and the person does that over, say, a 20-year period, they're going to have more wealth than the average, far more wealth than the average American, probably as much as they might even be in the top, 30% of Americans or something like that. It's not that hard when you talk about the wealth gap. Now, by the way, Elaine is asking about the video being gone. The reason the video is gone is because my Wi-Fi sucks and I don't want to mess it up. I mess up the conversation, so I just turned my video off. So I apologize for that. But at the end of the day, what I'm saying to you is, I know a lot of people tell you in order to build wealth, you got to cut costs and skimp and scrimp and barely get by and save every nickel. You ain't got to do all that. You don't have to do all that. What I'm saying is just have balance. Just invest as much in yourself as you invest in everybody else. Invest as much as you waste. That's it. I'd be a complete hypocrite if I were to tell you that you have to be completely disciplined all the time with your money and you can never spend your money on leisure items. I waste money all the time, but make no mistake about it, I invest far more than I waste. And that's why my wealth grows. Okay. So I want you guys to build wealth, and I want to see you succeed. And I've got to run. I've got a meeting in a few minutes, but we do these Q&As in the Black Business School every Tuesday. So make sure that you guys, if you're signed up for something, et cetera, I sent you guys the information about how to get on the text list. If you text the word Black Wealth to term Black Wealth is one word, no space. Text Black Wealth to 31996, and I'll send you a text message when we go live. And I hope that this helped you. And also, don't forget, if you want to join the Black Wealth Bootcamp, you can still get a 30% discount, early bird discount. That's blackwealthbootcamp.com. We start classes on January 7th. But right now, today, if I did in 2016 and 2015 are right in there, and they're very, very good. And I guarantee you, if you go through some of that stuff, it's going to rock your world. It's going to change your life, everything. I already know that. I say that with complete confidence because we did surveys with the students and they loved it. And I don't want this wealth thing to be confusing for you. I know they can be easy for you, and I want it to become part of your family's culture, but I need your buy-in in terms of your commitment to whatever it is you want to be in this world, you want your family to be. I want you to believe that together we can know there's no financial expert you can find anywhere who knows more about this stuff than I do, because I taught financial experts, when I was at Syracuse. So what I'm saying to you is you have nothing to be afraid of. The biggest obstacle is you, right? That's it. So jump over that obstacle, and I'll meet you on the other side, and I will help you achieve whatever financial goal you're trying to reach. Okay, we've got everything you need here. All right, guys, so take care. One more time, the URL is blackwealthbootcamp.com, so feel free to go